everybody, welcome back to my channel, The Vibes Inside. I am Mariana and I am preparing here now to do a new moon reading in the sign of Virgo. It's happening, I think today on the 2nd of September 2024. And you can take from it what you want. Of course, it may not all be for you. I feel like there's just a little introduction. I'm not going to dive deeply into it because I've been kind of studying this for a period of some months now. That's why I haven't been posting much. Because I wanted to get it right, you could say, or I wanted to be able to explain it right. And this goes hand in hand with Virgo energy because Virgo is very analytical. Virgo likes to see that's why it's the hermit, right? It wants to away from all other influential noise, you could say. It wants to link the dots and find to explain something that is maybe not that easy to explain. I have been talking about that I find that Mother energy is leaving the planet. There is a decreasing birth rate around the world. Less children are born. One of the reasons why this energy is leaving is, again, and this is not just me, you can look up other influential people in the world that are trying to tell you about some of this. I can just feel it, right? So I'm just on the other, I'm not into I don't study birth rates, right? I don't study numbers in that way. I study energy, right? So I'm just an energy recipient. I can feel the energy changing, where some people are more fact-oriented. They base their knowledge and what they say on statistics and so on, right? So, this thing about the birth rates is not something that I have invented. It's people actually have studied this. When I say Mother energy is leaving, it means that fertility goes down. It means that there is no point in birthing more children. And to understand why this is happening, you have to understand the energies. You have to understand masculine energy and feminine energy. The reason why birth rates are going down is because, and this is my take on it, again, I'm an energy interpreter, right? It's because feminine energy is suffocating. It cannot breathe. There's no sustaining energy left for feminine energy. It barely is alive. It's barely alive. And this may sound a bit, but there are women here, right? And that's not at all what I talk about. Because to understand this, you really have to understand the differences between those two energies. Masculine energy is about longevity. Like, I'm doing this ultra short, right? Masculine energy is about longevity. It's about in this case, about birth rates, it would be about the survival of the species. It is to get the seeds out there and get them growing. Feminine energy is not at all about longevity. It is about the moment. It is about the bliss of the moment. If there is no bliss of the moment for feminine energy, if there is no high, you could say, if the song stops, as long as the music plays, the creativity is there. As long as the music plays, as long as the song is there, as long as the feminine song is there, as long as it can breathe, as long as it can survive, as long as it can be in the moment, then the feminine energy prevails. When it can no longer be in the moment, it suffocates. So just take this into your own life. An example of this is my personal take, so just bear with me on this one, right? Our brain is so governed by masculine systems, both men and women. It's governed by masculine rules. It's governed by the consequence of not following those rules or not going along with longevity. So the feminines on this earth, men and women, those who identify more as feminine, softer, you could say, more sensitive, softer, their brain is still operating with masculine rules. So it means that both men and women, the brain is controlling our actions. The brain is, you could say, programmed for longevity. That's what, this is very short. There's much more to these energies. But in the case of birth rates, the brain is about avoiding death. It does everything it can to avoid death. And this also means it does everything to avoid death of information, death of intelligence. That's why we teach to our children. We give information to our children so that it prolongs itself, so that information is not lost. No matter what civilization comes after this one, because it will die eventually. Every civilization on this planet has died at some point. Because that is what Earth does. Earth is a planet of everlasting life, death, and life and death, and life and death. This is feminine energy at its core. You could say that Earth is feminine, the sun is masculine. The sun has a very, though there are changes if you study the sun, of course, astronomers does this, but to the eye of us here on Earth, sun looks predictable. Sun looks the same. Sun acts the same. It shows up again and again and again and again. It shows up. It has an instant. It has the same kind of tune to it, like a straight, even path, right? On Earth, because Earth is spinning, we don't see the sun all the time, but we do know it, right? our brain, we are intelligent, we are informed that the sun is constant. It has a constant vibe to it. It stays the same. It stays the same. It keeps shining, right? It's a star. It keeps shining until at some point it is too old and it will eventually die. But this is far out in the future. Earth, though, spins. It has a tilt. It spins. We are born here. We are products of Earth. We are Earthlings. Though we may feel like we have star influence from other star systems, we are still here. We are very dependent on Earth. And the survival of, like the longevity of Earth, you could say. But she doesn't care. Like Earth has, this is proven in history. Earth shifts between life and death, the ice ages, right? Earth shifts between like the birth of something, the dying of something. We have it in the seasons. The seasons are there as well. She doesn't care about longevity. Like longevity is not important to her. Her cyclical being is important to her. That's why civilizations will never, like civilization is the attempt of being the sun. Trying to build something that lasts. That is a masculine approach. Earth doesn't care about it. Like it, you could say, or feminine energy doesn't care about it. The idea that we say that girls just want to have fun is correct. Like women are the break. We are the break. Women represent the freedom break, the bliss. They represent the moment where all this other stuff, all this masculine productive stuff to keep everything going and keep it to make it last. That is the feminine energy. When you find yourself in feminine energy, you are in flow. You are in bliss. You forget about tomorrow. You forget about yesterday. You forget about it's like you are in a trance of some kind. You are in a moment where all the appointments and all the shows and all the financial constraints or all the things that normally, this is masculine, right? It's this ongoing machine-like longevity thinking. The feminine energy is not like that. It doesn't care about longevity. It cares about the moment. The feminine energy is where we don't want to get up in the moment. We want to stay in. We want to keep the moment alive. We want to keep it longer. We want to, expand it. Let this moment be for a longer time. The feminine energy doesn't care about time per se. Like in the feminine realm, time doesn't exist. Okay? I try to keep this very short. Feminine energy at its root is like this. This is why you have some people who are not good with longevity. They can't keep a job, right? They are about the music. The only place where they find themselves alive is when they play the music. The only place when they find themselves alive is when they just are. They just are. They're not doing anything. They just are. They sit in the sun. They meditate, or this is the place where they find the break of this other way of life. So now I go back to why I say that Mother Energy is leaving the planet. That there is no, because Mother Energy is feminine energy at its root. When Mother Energy can no longer see the point of giving birth, there is no room for her. Right? Do you get my point now? Like, there's no room for her. There is so little being. There's only doing. When there's so little being, so little bliss, so little fun, so little pure existence, there's only doing, learning, doing. This is where she feels suffocated. She can no longer give birth. There's no point in it. Why put a child into the world where it's going to, especially girls, into the world where, I don't know if that's where, if there is a statistic on this, that there are less girls coming, because, or less newborn girls here, because they are the ones that are supposed to, birth new ones. The point is that they cannot breathe. Everything has become too masculine. The environment, the brain, like the feminine brain is not here. There's no feminine brain. There are very few where it's like you can have one version where the brain says, I control the body and the libido of the body, the passion of the body. So I control with my intelligence whatever the body may want. What the libido is about, what the libido, the passion of the person, I control that. The other version is that you have the libido, the body, which is associated with being the feminine part of us. The brain is the masculine part. So you can have a passionately ruled life where the body is in charge, the passions are in charge, and the brain is following that passion. So whatever comes up as a passion for the body, the feminine part of us, is a rule the brain follows. So this would be an artist, for instance, like a singer. A singer has a passion for the moment of music. So the brain follows. Okay, let's do music then. Let's sit and play the guitar, right? I have to learn how to control the guitar, but I follow along. I follow your lead, you would say. We live in a world over here. We live in a world where most, at least in civilization, I don't know about native life, like native indigenous people probably live differently. But the civilized life is about, this is the other version. This is the version where the passions of the body, you say the feminine part, is under control. It's controlled by the intelligent brain that keeps learning, keeps manifesting new information, keep learning new skills. And it's controlling the passions. It's keeping them down. So if you live in this world and you are a woman, and you are even a woman, so it means that you, at your core, if you find it, if you know what you are at your core, when you have peeled away all the layers of ego, which would be the intelligent realm of the brain, when you have had enough ego death, you will see your core. If you at your body, at your core is Venusian or feminine, you will find to struggle in this world. You cannot breathe here. Because this world is all about becoming something, doing something. But if you are feminine at your core, you would be an artist. You should be over here instead. To thrive. To thrive, you should be over here. Otherwise, you're suffocating. Here you're suffocating. Now I hope you get my point of why I'm saying that feminine energy or mother energy is leaving. That there's a decline in fertility. It's because the feminine body, over here, the feminine is under grip. Over here, the feminine is told to shut up, actually. The passion, the libido of the feminine energy, this is much more than sex, by the way. The passion, the drive of the feminine energy is way, way different. Again, sexuality for feminine energy goes up and down. Everything about feminine energy is up and down. It's again death and birth. It swings between these all the time. The menstruation cycle of the feminine body, it tells a story. Feminine energy dies and births itself all the time. Like, it's not constant. Though over here we want it to be constant, it's not. It's not at all constant. That's why the emotions go up and down as well. This is normal. This is what is to be expected. Women cannot be men. But it's like the civilized world wants women to be men. We are not men. That's one of the reasons why you are attracted to us, because we are not men. We are the opposite of you, right? We are the opposite of the sun. We are the opposite of the even. Civilization aims to be even, like have an even path of consummation, consuming, an even path of, growth delivery, an even path of income, an even path of to sustain life, to keep it going, like to keep it even, right? Feminine energy is up and down. It actually, feminine energy is okay with death and rebirth and transformation. That's quite all right. It's nothing special. We do it all the time. We go up and down, emotionally up and down. We have days where we want to have sex. We have days where we loathe sex. We don't want it. This is the way that the feminine energy, our hormones shift constantly all the time. We cannot keep it under lock. Or maybe we can keep it under lock for a certain amount of time, but eventually we are going to be crazy. Like it drives us crazy. You see my point now. We have a brain that tells us to be even. We have a body that tells us to fluctuate. This is the problem for women today, I feel like. We cannot be true to our true version, like to what we actually are. We cannot be true to the constant shifting, the molding. Menopause is another thing, like women go through these changes. Where men are more even, you could say, in their lifespan. Our bodies change all the time. We are about feminine energy. If you are very feminine at your core, you are about the moment. You can be a man and very feminine at your core. You could be an artist, a singer, someone who produces music, someone who paints, or someone who dances. Every time you dance, you are in that moment. So when you're not dancing, you are outside of that moment. Every time you perform, every time you do your dance, this is what you live for. This is the only reason you live. right? That is the feminine energy. When you have the high, when you have the flow, when you are absorbed, you're outside of time and space, you are totally in that moment. You are in the now moment. And only in the now. That is feminine. Feminine energy is only about you would say, the more, it's a slow moving time experience where there is actually no time. Where on the other side here, there is definitely time. Masculine feminine operates primarily in past and future. Feminine energy is the now. She is the in-between. She's the break. She is where it's the holiday. She is the icing, you know. It is the moment of seduction. But it's never about longevity. The feminine energy is never about what comes after. It is about the moment. It's never about the consequence that comes after, or the meeting tomorrow, or the dinner that comes. No, she's in the flow. This is feminine energy. If you think about your day, how often do you have this? How often do you find yourself in this particular moment? How often are you there? Or do you find yourself more in the other realm, where you're constantly thinking about making the next salary come in? What's for dinner? Oh, I have to do laundry. Oh, unless you flow in doing laundry. Unless you like that, or gardening. Like, some people can actually lose themselves a bit, be in the flow moment when they're gardening. It's like they're in this, maybe because it's in nature. Nature is very much also the feminine realm. I guess it's because nature it's not very loud. Like, the masculine realm is extremely loud. There's a lot of information here. The internet, narratives, language, stories, all the time. All the time. Nature is the break from that, right? It's where you go in nature, you sit there. Well, maybe there are some birds, you know, but otherwise it can be rather quiet, right? It's not the same, or at least maybe we don't understand it. I don't understand what the birds are saying. To me, it's song, right? I don't understand the humming of the hummingbird, or of the bee. I just hear the hum. I don't understand I may read a frequency. I may read an energy, but I don't. There's no words that goes directly to my brain. So it's like my brain gets a bit of the more language you understand, the more your brain is operating. When your brain cannot operate in the realm, it doesn't understand the bird sound, then it has a break. Because, okay, I can't understand this anyway, so I can flow a bit, or I can just take a break. I'm not at work, you could say. So, okay, I wanted to do this short, but it's still half an hour. I'm sorry, but this is the reason why. And now I try to come back, right? This is what this new moon is all about. The new moon is about understanding: are you one or the other? Virgo energy is the maiden. It's the original one. It's the one untouched by the world. It is the one that is still in original form. It's the purity of your being. It is the essence of who you are before you are influenced. Now I get a flyer here, the sixth chakra. This is third eye, the third eye chakra, and the purity of your being. I want to say that with all this sparkling. This is the essence of you, the sparkling essence of you. You see, without libido, without active libido, it's also more difficult for feminine energy to reproduce. I know that many women are struggling with what is called lower sex drive. I don't think it's lower. I think it's normal under the circumstances. Under the circumstances, this is exactly what happens. Under the circumstances where feminine energy cannot flow, it's under guard. There's a ruler to it. It cannot thrive. It's ill. Then you can say, yeah, but children are still born in the rural areas or in very poor countries and so on. Yeah. And some of these children do not survive. Yes, that is correct. It's because it's a different kind of grip, you would say. It's not an intelligent grip. It's not a brain-wise grip. And many of those people are starving, right? They don't. Many of the children are not even born. When they are born, they are very, very poor, very poor shape. So here we have a struggle between the moment and longevity. Like the best version of this would, of course, be if these two could work together. So in some areas of the world, we see that maybe the feminine energy is more active and they have a hard time living with the longevity part. Like they haven't put their life into system, so they only live for a short time. They live few years. But maybe they live a fun life, or a more, you could say, a more flowing life. Then they die. And from the civilized world's perspective, this is a tragedy. Like so many children are dying here. So many children are well, I guess it's what's to be expected, because if you live primarily in the moment, that's why you have artists that are struggling, right? Because they live primarily in the moment. They don't think so much about how to pay their bills, or they choose the moment more than they choose a system around them to make sure that they get an income, to make sure that they can pay the bills. So you can have the masculine realm is also about speed, right? It has to have a certain speed, acceleration. Whereas some of these other realms, it's not about speed, it's about being there. It's about the experience, the flow in the moment. When there is very little of this in your life, especially as a woman, or as what I call feminines, you will feel like there is some kind of threat, like there's a threat around you somehow, that your existence is kind of threatened by something. Maybe you can't see what it is, but it can be your brain. It can be the way you think, because you don't allow yourself to be swinging between. You are ashamed about the swinging. You are unhappy with the swinging. You should be more constant, because this is what the world is expecting of us, a constant workforce, like a person, right? But you are not that. If your feminine libido speaks highly to you, and you have a masculine controlled brain that tries to keep it down, you are in serious problems. Do you get my point? Like, you are in dissociation. You are unaligned. This is what my life has been like. So I share this now because feminine energy is under so much threat right now that we are about to ruin the civilization. The longevity thinking of civilization is going to die, and I think this is the reason why civilization have always died on Earth. Sumerians, the Greeks, the Egyptians, this is the reason why it dies. Because there's too much control, there's too much straight line, there's no room to fluctuate. Feminine energy cannot live in non-fluctuation. The only thing that lasts here on Earth is vegetation. It's the only thing that lasts. After the Ice Age, what made everything grow again? Vegetation started. Right? There has been many ice ages, according to physics. You could say that Earth has prolonged itself, but not by being masculine, by being feminine. That's the only way you could say that Earth, the longevity of the 13.8 billion years, the longevity only exists because of duration, because of back and forth, because of shifting. That is her thing. That is her thing. Every time you try to put in a masculine force, eventually it's going to die, because she is not like that. She's not protesting because she knows eventually we will kill ourselves. Like the civilization thinking is not going to last. It's like trying to put it's the sun thinking, right? The sun thinking of evenness on Earth doesn't last. Like, it cannot last. We will exhaust ourselves. Certain half of the population should be women, or somewhat like that. They will exhaust themselves in this world. Eventually they will leave. They will need to retrieve from this. Divorce rates are up, right? Birth rates are down. This is the feminine energy speaking. Okay, so long so good, right? This is what I have been diving into for the last month. What has been coming in all the time for me. And I've made other videos about it, but I didn't post them because I actually don't think the world is really ready to hear this, right? to make this even, like to get a more balanced version of this, where longevity can persist and feminine energy can thrive, these two energies need to look at each other. They have to look at each other and see each other's value. Many people who are in, that's why I asked you before, many people who are in the 9-to-5 hamster wheel, they feel that they are exhausted. They feel that there's too much emphasis on the practical masculine parts of their life. They feel that there's very little time to thrive, right? There's very little time to breathe. They are stressed out. They get ill. They can't sustain normal life. They have problems with finances and so on, because the pressure is too big on them. Do you get my point of this? And do you also see how little value the feminine energy is given? We love the music of those very popular singers, right? We love the dance of very talented dancers, right? We love that, right? We love when they perform. We love when they sing. We love when they're painters throughout history, right? Very talented sculptures, or we love that. We love when they do that, because when you sit in the theater and you're listening to the opera, or you're watching this musical play out, for a moment you don't think about the meeting tomorrow. For a moment you don't think about all the chores around the children. For a moment it's gone. For a moment you are actively interacting with this other, this feminine, seductive. It seduces you to go along with them, right? It seduces you to follow them into a mode. It's inviting you into a mode, a specific now moment. And when you are entering out of the theater, you are just so, wow, this was so amazing, right? And you take this feeling with you for several days, even for weeks perhaps. You take it with you. This was so, and you want to go back, right? If you could go back every day, you would do it. That is how seductive the feminine part is. It's the break, as I said. It's the time where you don't think about all the rest. But it's kind of gone, right? You're only in that moment with them. They seduce you to come into their world, come into my world, and be in this magnificent scene. Every time you watch a movie, maybe it's a spectacular, a movie with a lot of scenery, a lot of nature, and a lot of astonishing music and everything, right? I think every Disney adventure is like that. Astonishing, the Lion King, right? The astonishing music, the beautiful drawings. It seduces you to come in, be with me in this moment. I have created this for you, right? Be with this, be with me in this moment. Feminine energy also wants connection, like it wants to connect. It wants to be in the moment, be connected with you, be connected with others in the moment. Every stand-up comedian cannot do his show without an audience, right? Like, he cannot stand in the spotlight being who he is or she is without an audience. Feminine energy always wants to interact, right? It wants close interaction. That's why sex is also, you could say, the lure of the feminine, the sexual power of the feminine is known, right? It's known to us that the feminine lure, whether you are a man or a woman, you can be highly feminine, very seductive. And people will be lured to you because they want to connect with you in some way. Maybe not maybe sexual, maybe not sexual. It's just it's like the energy around you it's the libido, right? It's the libido of that person. Whether you're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. The libido of a strong masculine energy can be highly seductive. The libido of a feminine, soft energy can be highly seductive. Our brain wants to be seduced because it can have a break. Okay, so I hope I got that right now, right? But think about it. How often do you find yourself searching for, or if you are exhausted at work, right? How often do you find yourself slipping into the couch, turning on the TV because you want a break? You want your brain to stop thinking about the money. Stop thinking, I want to just purely exist and be. Right? It's not about for how long, actually. I just want a break. Feminine energy wants a break. It is a break. That's how it is made. It's not about longevity. It doesn't care about longevity. It wants the moment of freedom. Feminine energy is seduction into freedom. Freedom of thinking, freedom of planning, freedom of controlling, freedom of whatever. Do you get my point of that? That's why it's so important that we have it in our life. It must be there. If it's not there, we are suffocating in the practicality of life. The practicality is necessary because over here we are thinking about longevity. We want this moment to be able to come tomorrow as well, and tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. And for that to happen, we need a place to sleep, we need food, we need, and so on. If these two can come together and actually see each other for what it is, a way more balanced version, this would mean less work. But how can we work less and keep the same things alive? We probably can't. We can't do that. This Virgo new moon is like a reset. There is a need for resetting who you are and what it is you want in your life. Like it's the maiden of who you are. If you are a very strong masculine energy, maybe you want a new job. Like maybe you're looking for if you are a feminine energy, you would be looking for freedom. You would be looking for ways to relax more. You would be looking for meditation. You would be looking for ways to flow. And ways to flow will probably not be the same thing. Like maybe you figure out that it's a long time ago. Maybe you liked when you were a young child. When you were a young child, maybe you liked the garden a lot. You loved animals, or you actually loved drawing. Maybe you need to put effort into making space to draw again. Right? Do you get my point? Like, to get some of the freedom, the feminine energy, the now moment, the flow where you lose yourself. Some lose themselves when they are reading a novel that they get highly, again, the writer who made the novel wants to interact with you. Like, they are writing this to make you interact strongly with it, so much so that you forget the moment. I think this is exactly what every artist wants. It's inviting you into their zone with the music. So when the singer is on the stage, they are looking for the interaction with the audience, right? They are looking for the interaction with their co-musicians. Those who play the music, if they are the singer. The singer brings something to the music, and the audience brings something to it. Like, what is the point of making music if nobody is listening? When nobody is listening, it's like the music is wrong in some way, or the message in the book, in the novel is wrong. If nobody buys it, or if nobody is reading it. I think sometimes what I do here, it's like people are not ready. Like, because as I said, if these two energies were supposed to look at each other more fairly, we would have an increase in feminine energy. There would be an acceptance of feminine energy and the value of it, the health benefits also of this. The health benefit of this is important. The now moment of feeling bliss, of feeling in the moment, it creates a lot of dopamine. It's very seductive to the brain. Like, the brain wants the break. It's lured to it, right? It's lured to it because it cannot stay away. It wants the break. It's looking for the break. This is okay, but I'm still looking for a break. That's why men are attracted to women, right? That's why women are attracted to men, because they know that I live only in the moment, right? If we were solely feminine and solely masculine energy, we would need to work together. Like, this would be a force of nature. We would need to work together. The prosperity, the fruits, the creativity, the labor, the birth of all kinds of food on the planet is feminine. This is the springtime, the vegetation that brings us food, right? The masculine is the one that gets it, stores it, so that we have something to, it makes a plan for the winter. It makes sure that we are living inside something so that we don't freeze to death. If these two energies can see each other for what they are, then you can have a cooperation between them. You can have a cooperation and an emphasis. Someone who is highly masculine, someone who is all about longevity, money and everything, they can be very drawn to a hypersexual, very creative woman. Why? It's because the masculine energy wants the break with his love. The love wants the longevity that he can provide. Do you get my point of this now? It's like we are masculine and feminine inside of all of us. Which one is most? That is the purity that this new moon wants to come and bring to us. See clearly, right? See clearly what is your maiden? Or for a boy, what is your boy inside? What is your girl inside? Right? What are you most? If you are most feminine like me, your masculine part should follow that feminine urge, not the other way around. You will be very miserable. I have been very miserable. Okay? So what I talk about is not here yet, you could say. It's not here yet. Right now there is nature is here, native indigenous people is here, but they are shrinking, right? The Amazon jungle is shrinking. You take everything away that potentially is like over here. It's great that there are houses. It's great that there's work. It's great that there's money here. But what if there's no food left? What is this worth without clean water? What is this worth without the vegetation? What is this worth without the food? Like this new moon is like a cleanse. It wants to cleanse, take away illusions and egos. There is no such, none of them can live without each other. I've tried to say, my channel has been all about yin and yang. These two have to see each other. There has to be more room for feminine energy to come and thrive in all ways, because the feminine energy makes us feel good. It makes us feel alive and lifted, and it lifts us off the ground for a moment. It makes us feel alive. It makes us feel good. It's healing. It's healing. Okay? It's necessary. We need the food. We need it to be healthy, right? We need it to be organic. We need it to be without all this stuff. We need the lies to go away. We need the false sugar. We need all this stuff to go away. Virgo is very much about naturality. It's about herbs. It's about supplements versus medication, right? Like artificially created medicine. Virgo is all about the cleanse. Let's get all of this ick away, right? It needs to. Virgo is actually masculine energy, right? It's very analytical. It's very it can be quite judgmental. I think it's not about, like, Virgo, I have talked about Virgo before being the great cleanser. Like they cleanse their homes. They are neat. They are always perfect. That there's this perfectness about Virgo. I want to say how they show up in the world, how they do their work. It's always to a T, right? You can never put a finger on a Virgo. Like that's just, they are always perfect. Perfect aligned, perfectly dressed, perfectly, the hygiene, perfect beard, perfect body. They are always very, very perfect somehow. They are fit, they are slim, they're taking care of their bodies. They look perfect, they present perfect, they speak perfect, they behave perfect. Always, depending on the scene, they align themselves and they are perfect in it. There's a perfectness to a Virgo, somehow. I want to say in this case it feels more like a purity of who you are, because not all have Virgo very prominently in their chart. I have a Virgo moon. But my Virgo, you could say my Virgo moon became a secret. Moon is secret, right? It became repressed, or it became shoved down, because what I'm saying is maybe not what people want to hear. The lines I draw is maybe not what people want to see, It has been one of the reasons why I made the channel. It's because I'm rehearsing. I am using my voice more. I'm speaking more. I'm speaking my truth more. But I wasn't allowed to. I was called to follow the stream, right? To not ask questions, to not think differently, to not behave differently, to not act out of tone, But I am primarily feminine energy. I fluctuate. I am not the same. Every day I'm not the same. This is what I do. I'm an energy reader. I don't do plain or maybe not plain, but I don't do even. I can't do even. But for the longest time, my brain has been telling my body to shut up. Basically. Right? That I should ignore what I am. I should ignore. And this is what the new moon is here to do. It wants to call forth the purity in you. The new moon is all about new. It's about a new beginning, a rebirth, you would say, where full moons are more about completions. It can be the end of something, sometimes the death, a stopping of something, an end of an education, an end of a marriage. Maybe it's literally the end of a pregnancy, you're giving birth, right? So right after the finishing line, we give birth of something. That is what Earth is all about. That is what femininity is all about. When something dies, when something is obsolete, it dies and we birth something new. I recently heard Elon Musk say that laws and regulation, they are forever. They can stay forever. But life doesn't. Okay? So some of us are living by rules and regulations that are way older than our own life. A good example of this is the Bible or religion, religious beliefs. Religious beliefs has, through longevity, been passed on to children again and again and again. New imams come along, new priests come along, and they keep the story. Like they make the narrative like the longevity of the narrative is happening because it has been passed on. So the narrative of religion is still here, though life has moved on. Like our life, we live lives that are different than when the Bible was written, or when other religious, the Torah and other scriptures were written. Or we live lives, but certain, you would say, laws or regulations, they were passed a long time ago. They are older than the life we live now. Is the energy that is here, the way we live our lives is different than when the law was passed. So laws can be forever if the longevity is here, right? The longevity could stay the same. As I say, it's an even thing. You could say that from the Bible perspective has a narrative, and from that perspective, this narrative should keep itself alive forever. It keeps itself alive because someone is diving into it. Someone is speaking about it. Someone is, someone passes it on, right? Everything we know, even riding a bike, is passed on to new generations. So a certain amount of knowledge is here. It's from the past, and we combine it with what we have in the current to create a future. So from my perspective as a feminine, that fluctuates, I look at this energy and I'm kind of wondering if there is an end goal. Like, is there like this information that drives the masculine world? Has this been planted at some point to move forward for a long-term goal? Like a goal we don't even know about yet. Because our brains have to match the scenario, right? That the longevity urge of the masculine energy, is that because this information is supposed to reach a certain epic moment? And then it's working with something else. It's working with the biology of us, what I call the feminine realm. The body is supposed to be the feminine part of us. That the feminine realm fluctuates between life and death. So how do you get information from here to over here if there is like zillions of, or like billions of years from the start to the end? You do that by birthing new people and pass it on. So the longevity part is very important for masculine energy, not so much for the feminine. The feminine doesn't actually quite understand what the masculine is doing. She wants to invite him into her realm. She doesn't care if she lives for 2 hours or a billion of years. Her existence is all about life and death. There is nothing else in this realm. When the music plays, she is in the realm. When it stops, she's outside of it. Potentially she could die there. But it wouldn't matter. She had had her moment. Like the moment is the only thing the feminine energy is about. It's the moment. The freedom is the free flow. She doesn't care whether she lives for 15 minutes or, that's also why certain people, like, they prefer to live in the moment. What I call live strong, die young energies. They prefer to live for what they believe in and die young, perhaps. They live drinking and partying all the time. They die very young. They have liver issues. They die young. But they prefer this life to the longevity life. Do you get my point? Like, there's some people, they live here, and usually people who live like this, they are shamed. Like, when you stand over here and you look at them, you would say, oh, he lives such a difficult life. He has nothing there's no plan. He never takes care of himself. He's so neglectful and, yeah, because they live differently. They have other priorities. They don't care about the longevity. They don't care. If I don't know, well, I guess I have been programmed in my brain to thrive for the longevity, to look for the longevity, But there's a certain truth to it, that I would prefer some element of the feminine realm more than the other. And I just wanted to say also with this, that this is not wrong. It's just different. It's not wrong. It's different. Of course you could say, yeah, but what if there's children here? Who takes care of the children then? Yeah. That is a thing. A real problem. Well, maybe you shouldn't let a feminine energy take care of the children. You should let a masculine energy take care of them. So if a mother very much lives in the moment, she lives for the moment, for the bliss, for the flow of every day. She forgets about the children. Right? She neglects them. Well, don't let them stay there then, right? You should give them to the father. Or you should give them to a grandparent who is better at this. Right? I'm just saying that some people, if they are ruled by the body, and the brain follows. The brain is the decision maker, right? If the decision maker follows the urges of the body, it will be like that. It will be like that. And it's not necessarily bad, right? It's just different. And yes, they don't live long necessarily. We know that about artists, don't we? Artists don't live long. They live hard lives. They use drugs. They are, it's for the moment. They live young. We have several of them, right? I don't know, Jim Morrison, James Dean, Marilyn Monroe. We have many of them. And numerous number of artists. Some are applauded, some become very successful, some earn a lot of money. Some become addicts, and one of the reasons for becoming addicts is the entire production system that is put around them. When they start singing when they are very young, they sing because of the flow. They sing because of what it makes them feel like. When the big production system comes and stays around them, dictates them the wardrobe, how to look, the makeup, the diet and everything, this is where they are suffocated. They want an out, but don't know how to get an out. They start using drugs or drink or something to cope with the grip that comes around them. This is my take on it, right? Okay. So as I said, I've been diving into this for the last few months, and it's big. It's very big to understand, to really understand the energies. They're not bad people, or it's not bad, right? It's just different. But it adds something to our lives. It adds a spectacular feeling to our lives. There's enormous health benefits in this. We have to understand that it's not bad, even though the Bible dictates that feminine energy is the root cause of all evil, right? It's not. But as I said, if society was feminine, we would not live long. We would have very short lives. It would be fun. It would be great. It would be like the most uplifting lives, but we will not live long. You see? They need to talk together and actually see each other. None of them are right. None of them are wrong. And this is what I believe that I have an Aquarius Mars, right? This is what my Mars wants to tell you, right? That there is no such thing as right and wrong. There is no such thing as good or bad. It is something, and it adds something to our lives. It's just about, like, if you primarily are feminine at your core, you should be in a feminine environment. An environment that gets you. If you are in a masculine environment, you are threatened here. You should be in a feminine environment of some kind that understands you more, right? You need to swing with something that understands you. If you're masculine, well, civilization has already created the perfect space for you. It's already here. What's missing is the feminine realm, and accepted, understood, honored realm. Like the masculine realm is now, we need an equivalent in the feminine realm. To have a balance and to make sure that the longevity that the masculine is actually looking for is here. This is my message, and I get the feeling that I'm too soon. We're not ready. Like, humanity is not ready to make this shift, to allow for this shift to happen. It means a decoding of the brain. That feminines can actually have a feminine brain. Masculines can have a masculine brain. Okay? I feel that I'm too soon. So who of you who get this and understand this, you are probably with me, but we are a bit far away from most human realm still. Because it means that the masculine energy needs to become a bit smaller. Some regulations, maybe from the past, needs to be cleansed. It needs to be undone. It's no longer law. It's no longer something we need to follow. It's too old. It needs to be cleared, right? So that we get a modern society where the masculine actually is in alignment of what is happening. So we need to clear certain things. And one of the things that we need to clear is the pointing of fingers. That it's their fault. No, it's your fault. You are bad. No, you're bad. All of this nonsense needs to go, right? It needs to go. It's just nonsense. It's ego. Virgo, the new moon in Virgo, is here to cleanse, to like wipe the slate clean, to make an ego death. So if many of you during these days feel like almost like an attack on your health, it's just an ego death. It's just a change in your body. The fifth dimensional energy that is supposed to come in is more feminine in nature. So we are going through a change already. I'm just reading some of the energies for you and translating it. It is a shift, like there's a new version of purity coming in. There is not just one right, there are two. There are two rights. In the feminine round, we have all this idea about pronouns and what is it called? The lesbian, gay, queer community, all this community. This is feminine realm. This is a feminine movement, you could say. It's a feminine thing. It allows for fluctuation. It doesn't matter as long as you're in the flow. People that belong to this, that feel like they belong to this environment, they are in the feminine realm. It's the body that speaks, the libido speaks to them. It's here for a reason. It's because it's starving. The feminine energy is it's at its bottom resources. When it's at its bottom resources, you get the dark feminine. Like you get the version we don't want, actually. You get the monsters crawling, or you get the. It's interesting because when the patriarchal masculine energy views this community, they call them creeps. They call them monsters. They're not looking at what this is. It's a rebellion. Like the feminine energy is about to do a supernova on itself. The masculine energy wants to stay in its pace. It doesn't want to change. It doesn't want to change its pace. It wants to keep itself alive. It wants to stay in the same way, as does the feminine. The feminine wants to keep itself alive, stays it's just two species or two parts of this species that has to look at each other and respect each other's differences. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. This is not wrong. You're driven by two entirely different energies. Okay, let's look at the cards. Center, the vision quest. This is the flow state that I talk about. The flow state. This is the feminine energy, the flow state. This, I can't make this up, right? This is the flow state. Look at her. The relaxation, the bowing backward. She is not on edge. She's not prepared to fly or to fight. She is actually lifting off, levitating into this flow realm, right? A realm of beauty and bliss and sanctuary and flowers and colors and music and dance, and it's seductive. It's a seductive realm, but we want to get there. Like, that is what the feminine does to us. The feminine realm is seductive. It takes us out of the practical, everyday, what we call reality. When you play a computer game, you are in that realm as well. You are here. You are here. Even though you have to do stuff in there, you're still floating in this realm for a moment. You allow yourself to have a break. It's the holiday feeling. The holiday feeling is where you don't have to do chores or laundry. It's the all-inclusive vacation. You can just lay back, you know, at the beach. You know, someone comes around and offers you drinks or ice cream or something if you lay there in the sun. You know, this is the freedom feeling. This feeling is what we were born with. When we were born, we had no idea. Like, this is a very omnipotent state of a baby. It still hasn't realized that it's outside the womb. And outside of the womb, everything exists differently. In the womb, it's like you have this all-inclusive experience. It's warm. It's you know, food is coming. You know, it's all-inclusive delivery. You can just flow around and paddle from edge to edge inside the womb, almost like this, like the womb here, right? This is the state that the feminine invites you into. It's like you are in a womb where nothing from the outside can touch you. It's a state of bliss. There is no requirements and there's no reality, you could say. Reality doesn't exist, time doesn't exist. There's nothing in there. It's a moment where you can lose yourself, you could say. You can lose yourself. You can loosen up. You can relax your body. It's a state of, I want to say, almost non-physical existence. It's like your body almost doesn't exist. There is no maintenance of the body. There's no maintenance of you know, like clean clothes and food and everything. There's no maintenance. Again, the longevity part is out. It's not there. It's kind of shoved aside. It doesn't exist. For this brief moment, it doesn't exist. Like when you were in the womb. There was no awareness about needing to do something, actually to take action, to work or to learn stuff, or you could just be in there. This is what the feminine realm presents. It's a state where you can just be and relax. Bend backwards and just relax your body entirely. You don't have to be on edge. You don't have to think about the past or the present. You can just be in that now moment. So we could say that Virgo, this new moon could be about practicing the now moment. Meditation is a state where you are practicing the now moment. A moment where thoughts come along, you can't shut them off, but you just send them off again. Just kindly send them off again. It's all right. You just move on. And you're practicing the now moment, the bliss moment, the moment where you're not thinking about. And we should have more of this. It's in the center. So I think that the center card is always important. It's like we need more of it, right? I said that. We need more of it. We need, instead of like the noradrenaline you get from cortisol, we need the dopamine that you get from the bliss state. Happy, joyful feelings, flow feelings. The freedom feeling is very seductive. So that's why people can get hooked on drugs, because the high of the drug gives you a freedom feeling. I'm not saying you should go and do drugs. I'm saying that this is what the brain sometimes looks for, what the body looks for. If you're constantly on guard over here, worrying about money, the body feels it, right? The body can feel the anxiousness, the tightness in your body. It tightens up. It needs to be on guard. It worries, right? If you are here, it can relax. There's no worry. So we have to understand the health benefit of this, the health benefit of losing ourselves. Losing ourselves means that you have no security net, right? That is what this is. Losing yourself is being seduced in the moment. In that moment, you don't think about the potential pregnancy you could get, or the potential abortion you have to consider if this becomes a pregnancy. You don't have to think about the prejudice from other people, being this single mother, or you don't think about this long-term thing. You are just in the seductive moment with this partner. That's what the moment is about. It's all about only this, and you want to make it last. So when the concert is over, the music concert is over, you go out there and wow, this was just so wow, I just love this, right? But then it's like the dopamine kick of the high of this moment releases itself slowly and surely out of your body. And the next day you're still thinking about it, but now the chores come in and your everyday life moves on. You would want another concert, right? You wouldn't want to go back. That's why the dopamine is such a difficult hormone or a neurotransmitter to control, you would say, or to balance, because we want more of it. Like dopamine is it's a seductive neurotransmitter. We want more of it. To balance this is very difficult. If you take too much, you get an overdose, you can die from it. So that's the. But again, the high you get in the moment before you die is very, very big, very big. But your body can't deal with it, so the longevity is in jeopardy here. The longevity is gone. You die from the overdose. The balancing is very important. You get dopamine from coffee, you get dopamine from laughing, you get dopamine from many things. Dark chocolate, dopamine. But of course, it's not as much as if you do cocaine. Cocaine is a spike of dopamine. But there is an aftermath, a withdrawal, right? But in the moment, in the high moment, you don't think about that. It's all about the high. The aftermath comes, and you want a new high. That's why we can become addicts. So the balancing of this is a delicate matter. And for now, we have in the civilized world, there is an awareness that we have to keep this in check. Otherwise, it can take over and the longevity is gone. We cannot secure longevity. We cannot secure the deliverance of informations or the passing on of the delivery and the passing on of whatever this epic end goal is of information. That's just how I see it. Why is it so important to keep this going? Like, why is it important to bring information to the other generation that brings it to another and to another, and every time we do that, we still evolve, right? We still in the masculine realm, we are still inventing new stuff. The AI is here now. So where is this leading us? Like, where is this information leading us? So these are two very different energies. One lives in the moment. One is about some kind of longevity. That, like, there's this seemingly needing to give information to the next generation and to the next and to the next for some kind of end goal. And I'm wondering if this is an alien perspective. Has there at some point during the maybe Sumerian times, has there been planted some kind of device or some kind of information that is supposed to evolve itself to some kind of epic moment? I don't know. I'm just wondering why this is, because it is literally in the masculine gene. We know that masculine energy is about providing. It's about health. It's about longevity. It's about sustaining yourself. It's in the DNA, in the masculine DNA. Now this DNA has just become egotistical. It wants to keep itself alive. It doesn't care about single mothers, but the mothers are supposed to be the ones that actually brings fruit to the table, that actually what they there has been this saying, what does feminine energy bring to the table? This is what they bring. This is what they bring. In the masculine realm, there is such an emphasis on building and doing and becoming something, and giving, like giving your time and knowledge and your body strength to something. You show up at 9 or at 8 or at 7 and you go home at 4 o'clock and you have given your time and everything, all your concentration, all your focus has been given to the society in some way. But what feminine energy does, it gives this to us. And without it, we will not survive. So, and I'm sorry to say this, I feel like some of the very rich masculine domain has to get down from its high horse and recognize that even this is not going to sustain itself if there are no women who bears new children. So what is the longevity about if there is no new child? If there's not an heir to all of this? Just saying. Okay. Bliss moment, flowing. There's healing in this. Balancing this correct. There's healing in it. This, you could even say that there's a longing in us, right? A longing to the womb. There's a longing that we want to get back to the state where we didn't have to learn a lot. We didn't have to work. We didn't have to produce unless you like it. We didn't have to build. We didn't have to, that there's a saying in Denmark that you have to do something before you can be, you could say. You have to do some kind of work before you can have pleasure. Or flow, or whatever you want to call it. You have to be able to produce and provide something before you can enjoy, right? That you can't enjoy a lot and then expect and you can enjoy a lot and not do much work and then expect a longevity. That the true joy comes from providing something, then you can have joy. So you should better work 9 to 5 and play guitar in your spare time. Not play guitar and create lyrics and sing most of the time. That civilization will tell you otherwise. It will tell you to follow this plan, and then you can do this other not important stuff. You can do that in your spare time. This is when you have a parent saying, yeah, it's great that you want to be a rock musician, but it's not going to pay the bills. That's this voice over here. Or you want to be a painter or a writer, great, but get yourself a real job so then you can pay the bills, right? That's from this perspective. Flow in the moment. And I think that the Virgo, this new moon, I say again, it's about the cleanse. It's about, perhaps if you are willing to have a look at your life, how much of your life do you spend in this time? And how much of your life do you spend in this other realm? The practical, planning, structuring, disciplined life. You could say that sleep is also where we are supposed to let go. So if you have insomnia, you don't sleep much, or you have inconsistent sleep, you probably have a problem with some of this, right? You probably have there's something about this that is not balanced, I want to say. Some would say that this is a luxury. This is a luxury. Like, this is something I only do as a luxury. But it shouldn't be a luxury, right? Not if you want to have a balanced life. Well, unless you're very masculine and you thrive in the masculine realm. If you're feminine, you probably don't. Like, our brain are somewhat hypnotized to be in the masculine realm, but the bodies don't feel good there. If you're very feminine, your bodies don't feel good there. New blueprint, yeah. New moon, new blueprint. It's time for a new version. It's time to remember something you find very joyous, something that can give you a feeling of, as I said, maybe gardening is the way where you find yourself flowing and you forget about time and, oh, well, it's dinner time. I forgot all about it, right? Because I kind of just flowed in in some kind of space here. I was flowing in my space. I didn't quite remember, or I lost the structure for a moment because I was in the flow or in the now moment. I sat in meditation. I wasn't aware that it was so late, right? Because in meditation, in the flow state, there is no time. So you lose time. That could also be what you may be experiencing, that yet you find yourself losing time. Is it 2 already? How could time go so fast, right? It's because there's something happening where you have lost time, lost track of time. When you lose track of time, from the feminine perspective, this is a good thing. It's a healthy thing that you lose yourself for a moment. You give yourself a break. You give your brain a break to just flow a little bit, to not think or analyze something all the time. The new blueprint is to maybe give yourself time, that this should not just be a luxury, that you give yourself every 3 months. No, it's not that you take your wife out to dinner every 3 months as a special luxury. No, this should be more often. Or if this is something you want to experience yourself, I don't know what makes this for you. Maybe sailing, being on the sea in your boat, just sitting there fishing. Maybe that is your now moment. This is the moment where you just, everything else is cut off. You just sit there, you watch the water, you're looking for this little thing to drop so that you can see there's a fish on the hook, right? You look at the sky, the clouds, you just let it just pass through slowly, right? Time becomes slow in the now moment. You lose yourself a little bit. There's something about a new blueprint where losing yourself could be a beneficial or a healthy thing. Whatever it is, maybe it's, again, as I said, it's reading a novel. Maybe you're writing a novel, right? Maybe you become the one that moves into your zone here, a zone where there's no time and space. There's only you and your work. There's only you and your dance. There's only you, the body. When the body dances, it's the body speaking, right? It speaks its own language. You can process feelings through dance or something like that. This is the zone. The zone is the feminine now moment. It is I've talked about the Zen zone before or something like that. Like a Zen zone would be the now moment. It's the flow state. It's a state where the outside world cannot really come in. As in the womb, right? That only a certain amount of sound and things are able to come in. Actually, it's a rather protected space until the mother gives birth to the child. Now the child is suddenly exposed to everything around it, which it has not been before. This is like being in the womb, where you are nothing touches you when you are doing this. Nothing touches you. It can even be, for instance, as I said, I have lived in the civilized world all my life. I was raised to become and thinking like a man, thinking very masculine. I did everything right. I took, I was good at school. I took the education. I followed the plan. I got married. I got a kid. And inside me, I was withering. I felt threatened from all sides. I felt this was wrong for me somehow, but I didn't understand why. Because I was doing all the right things. I followed the recipe. Now I know exactly why this is wrong. A new imprint, you could say, in me is arising, but I think it's not just about me, or it's not just about, there is something about the balance that is supposed to come in. The balance that you may seek in your life comes from doing some of the things that is not what you're doing now. Like if the current moment is not working for you, you have to dare to do more of the things that you don't do. Which can be the Zen zone, which can be the daring or the ugliness of becoming something else. Because from this side, over here, from this side, this is ugly, or wrong, or strange, or different, or weird, or something, or unwanted, or unwished for. From this perspective. From over here, what they are doing here is weird, unproductive, not useful, not something that can benefit longevity. It's dangerous what's happening here. And from this perspective, the world over here is judgmental, it's way too structured, it's patriarchal, it's narrow-minded, it's, that's just how they see each other. It's nothing else but that. They're just different from each other. But the point is that we usually are more comfortable with the things that we are familiar with. So if you have, I grew up in a patriarchal house. I feel like I've had more of two fathers than a mother and a father. The values and like the structure and discipline and control and everything in my everyday life was very, very prominent. Time for play and being free and joyous. And there was not much laughter in my childhood home. It was very sad, actually, I feel like. But the point is, it's because they didn't dare to do feminine. They stayed masculine. They were raised to be masculine as well. Because it is true, if you are highly feminine, you will not live long. The family will not live long. It's risky. It's dangerous in that way. So to have a balance of these is probably what is needed. To have a balance of it is needed. If you are too masculine, you are maybe feeling that you're suffocating in one way. If you're too feminine, you may also feel that you are in danger some way. Because the longevity thinking, the planning, and it's like you are in this giant ocean, but you can never find solid ground anywhere, right? So it's nice to swim until you are tired, right? Then you actually want to get on shore. But if there's only water, you have to keep swimming. So the thing that was fun now becomes a problem, right? That is the issue of the feminine energy, that they can be very good at what they do, but if they only do this, they end up drowning. They end up starving. They end up, that's the problem. So they need each other. this is not new. This has been talked about many, many times, but it's like we forget, I feel like. And the masculine structured brain we have doesn't allow for much fun, right? Like the libido has to be very big for the brain to follow the feminine libido. It has to be very dominant, otherwise you don't follow it. It's too risky. Seen from a masculine brain view. It's too risky. The longevity is in jeopardy, right? Okay. It says door to personal healing and happiness here. This is in the crown position. This is in the root position. If you allow yourself from the root position, from childhood, but from a very rooted point of view, if you allow new blueprints to come in about, you could say, the bliss or the sin zone, you can have a happier brain. You will have a more joyous feeling of life. You will have a more balanced version. It is the door to healing. As I said, there's a lot of healing here. If you are stressed out, exhausted, you have PTSD or other things like that, you need more of this. You need more of this. You know, you need more of the... You need to allow yourself to flow more. People who are stressed, anxious, they cannot do that. They are tied up, right? They have a hard time relaxing. That's why they're struggling. They are so tied up. They can't seem to relax. You could be feminine if you feel like that, because the feminine will be more tied up in the masculine realm with the masculine thinking. Like the body will have a difficult time, relaxing, because the brain is telling you constantly to be working, doing this and that, making sure, blah, 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 future plans and so on. It's thinking constantly about that. Or it lives in the past. Let's say you're grieving someone, or you live in a past trauma. Then you're constantly in the war zone, right? You're constantly in the grieving. You're constantly in the cause of something. When you're constantly there, operating in this space, you have little time to relax. We need a new imprint of allowing for this to be a natural part of life. So maybe shorter work hours, more time for play, you could say, or more time for the now, for the feeling of flow, for the new imprint has to be well rooted. If you can manage to work your way through your traumas, if you can manage to work your way through, you can allow for a new imprint to be there, to rule your decision making. That there is a new time here, I feel like. A time that is asking us to include non-time. That the time is here to include more non-time. It's a doorway to more happiness and more flow and more excitement for life. Because you are more in this zone. It allows you to have a more a calmer existence, a calmer feeling of okayness. Again, in the masculine realm, there are, as I said, a lot of rules and regulations, and sometimes these rules and regulations actually makes it very hard to live, to just be. In this world, there's a lot of narrative also, and judgment and prejudice and all kinds of stuff here. There's a lot of knowledge here. And there is also, to a certain extent, there is a narrative of the perfect or the good life, according to the patriarchal style. So if you want to have the good life according to the patriarchal style, you have to be successful. You have to work a lot. You have to thrive for success and fame and money. You have to be a good provider and so on. But this can be stressful if you are more of a feminine person or personality. And the money will not make you happy. The money will not make you happy, not truly happy. It may give you a sense of safety maybe or something, but it's not truly giving you happiness if you are feminine. So I guess I'm making this reading primarily for feminines. I don't care about if you are a man or a woman, but if you are feminine at your core, the blueprint for you is to be okay with who you are. To be okay with that you need more of this. You need maybe time for yourself, solitude, I don't know, where you are enjoying something, or where you feel free from the gaze, the patriarchal gaze, right? Where you feel free to just move and be who you are without a constant judgment. You know, being gay in a society where the patriarchal gaze is still judging gay society or gay community or gay couples. Well, to a certain point you can be free, but the place where you feel the most free is when you are among other gay people. Isn't that right? When you are among something familiar, something that is like you. When you are around something that is like you, you will feel more familiar, or it will feel better, it will feel safer, it will feel more calmer. You can express yourself more freely. So put it into your situation, how you grew up. What kind of principles do you grow up with? Is the principle part of the society voice, the patriarchal civilization voice? So from a very smaller perspective of your own upbringing to society's way of dominating how we are supposed to view the world with religion and other beliefs that keeps us in some kind of box, you could say. And when we try to break out of that box, we will have problems, right? There will be judgment put upon us, forcing us back into the herd, right? It's that kind of thinking. And it's not that, from the patriarchal perspective, it is true that what happens over here is not to their liking. It doesn't reinforce longevity. That is correct. It is correct that what is happening over here doesn't support longevity. It doesn't support it's about fun. It's bungee jumping, it's it's skydiving, It's the thrill in the body. It's the kick that comes. That's what it's about. It is true that what happens over here is not sustaining longevity. It doesn't think about longevity. So having this balance in your life is important, you could say. If you are one of the people that think, as I said, like, live strong, die young, you will be over here. Over here you can have a workaholic. Maybe they thrive in the working, they love the work. Or they love the attention or the success that it gives them. This is a high too, it's a dopamine high too. Right? It's just a different one. I'm just saying, and I feel like this is what my channel has been all about, that there is no wrong energy. It is what it is. When men are lured in by pretty women and they tell them, give me some sugar, this is it, give me the break, let us have sex, let me feel your softness, your seductive womb, let me get that moment with you. That's what they're looking for. It's a release. It is the freedom. It's a pause, a break. It's not bad. There are health benefits to this. If you manage to balance it. And again, can we be sure that all souls that incarnate on this earth are here for longevity? Maybe they're not even here to, maybe they are here to feel the thrill of life, the fun of life, the red wine, the fine dining, you know? They are here about desires. They only are here to experience desires. They don't care about a long life. Who am I to judge what people do if it feels right to them? I know that we are supposed, all of us are supposed to think that a long life is what we want. But some people may want quality over quantity. Some people are into the now moment more than they are into the longevity. And who am I to judge that? Like, who am I to, if they're asking for help, this is another thing. Like, if a person over here is asking for help, they know that they are here too much. They are literally aware that they are starving, right? They're asking for help. This is another thing. Then they want a different balance. Then they are seeking a different balance. Then they are looking for a different balance. They are actually asking for advice. They want to learn, right? But what if they don't want to learn? What if this would be the most rigid person you know, right? Risk takers, they don't care, they drink, they drug, they are partying all the time, they can't hold a job, but this is all they do. And no matter what you say to them, they don't change their ways. Because they are not like you, right? They're not like you. They live for the moment. They don't live for longevity. They don't care about longevity. They live for a high moment. It can seem rather egocentric. But that's what it is. It's a It's just another lifestyle. It's another life priority also. On the masculine side, we tend to have a focus on health, because longevity and health goes hand in hand. We have hospitals here, we have medication here, we have like everything that can make sure that we stay around for a long time in the body, that the body is sustained. Over here, there is no priority on the body. Like, not really. You can experience through the body, you can have an experience through the body, but that's why the drugging and the drinking and poor diet and all this, that this is here, because it's not about that. For this personality style, it's not about that. Life itself is not about that. Whom am I to judge that? Like, I have been educated and raised to be over here and look at this other lifestyle with horror, you know. But I have never been happy here. Maybe I actually belong over here. The best thing would be to balance these two, of course. But what if it would benefit me to be over here? What if all my life I've actually searched for more of this, but not daring it? Because again, I was told that this is horrific. That the way of life here is horrific. Another thing that is over here, life and death is constant. This is where you have the people that are very much into fashion, right? They change their clothes all the time. They have different hairstyles, different hair colors, and they love to do this. Different makeup, different expression every day. High heels, low heels, you know. The shifting of expression is very prominent in the feminine field. That's why makeup and fashion is very high in these areas. This is why you would say, the longing to change, the longing to dress differently, the urge to want to do this is in the feminine realm. Everything that has to do with performance, costumes, feminine realm, right? Drag queens, feminine realm. It's everything that fluctuates between that. You could say every morning when a feminine wakes up, every morning is a birth. And every evening is a death. And next day she wakes up, she can have a totally different emotional feeling. Her temper is different. Her style of clothes is different, and so on. This is highly feminine. That's how the feminine works. So when a feminine experiences mood swings, instead of criticizing her, it's also related to her hormone system and her menstruation cycle. Like you see the seasons of the earth, spring, right? Summer, autumn, winter. It's very different energies. This is what the feminine energy is all about. The feminine energy knows all about death and rebirth. When the body is dead and it deteriorates in the coffin, in the ground somewhere, it gets reabsorbed by the fungi system with the trees and everything, it's you could say recycled. That's what the earth does all the time. It recycles itself. It's a never-ending process of recycling itself. So the entire idea about longevity doesn't exist for the feminine round because it already recycles itself all the time. There is no thinking about it. It's a natural reoccurring thing. It recreates itself all the time. There's no need to think about longevity because it is secured. It's already there. So the idea of life and death here and the securing of longevity is because over here it's not recycling itself. It believes that there is a beginning and an end, and then it's over. So unless I pass on my information to someone else, it dies. It's gone, it's done, it's over, it's blank, it's black. That is the masculine realm of thinking. The feminine is not like that. There is no end. There's never an end. It keeps going until the sun can no longer produce enough heat for photosynthesis to go on. It reproduces itself. It's like a recycling of energy with a total acceptance of how it works. There is an acceptance of the life, the different lifespans. Like a butterfly can live for sometimes only days, sometimes maybe weeks. Then it dies. There's an absolute acceptance of that. It gets recycled into the process. When an animal, a bigger animal dies, like a deer or something like that, the carcass gets reabsorbed into the earth. And it acts like fertilizer for new life to come. So you could say in the feminine round there is something. It's like I eat, but I'm also eaten, right? And that's quite all right. I eat, I live, but I will also die and be transformed into something else. And that's quite all right. I had my moment, and that's quite all right. It's the longevity part that this is where they butt heads, right? This is where they don't see eye to eye. They don't see the point of that. They have different viewpoints. They have different. That's why when you talk to let's say a Native American Indian shaman, for instance, he will talk about universal energies. He will not talk about we need to build this bridge. Like he talks about life and death and ancestors and so on in a totally different way. There is a totally different understanding about life processes and how lifespans are recycled, right? Like to Earth, it doesn't matter. It may be different life. It may not be this human, like it may not be a human brain like over here, where over here we want the longevity of the Homo sapiens. Earth doesn't care about that. It just cares about recreating something new. It can be a new mammal, it can be maybe a new human at some point. It doesn't really care. It just creates. like an artist that creates a new songs again and again. It's not the same song. It creates a new song and a new song and new song. It's a new variety. New variety of vegetation, new different clones or different merging of vegetation. Pairing or breeding. We are a product of breeding. Our evolutionary state has depended on millions of years of evolutionary states. The only thing that is sure on Earth is change. The fluctuation. It's the only thing that is sure here. Nothing will ever stay the same. Civilizations will die. It will never stay the same. That is no matter how much we try to, the longevity part is already here. It's just the ego of the brain, because the ego wants to stay how it is. Like the feminine round doesn't care. I had my moment, I die, okay, I get rebirthed or reshaped eventually into something else. Fine. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with new clothes. I'm fine with a new haircut. I'm fine with I'm fine with the woods. I'm fine with the water. I'm fine as a fish. I'm fine as it doesn't matter. The longevity is already here. But the patriarch, you could say, way of thinking wants to put it into control. And this is it's not normal for Earth. It has never been like that. It has never been. Earth has never ever been like that. I guess it's why it's not protesting, because it knows it will always prevail. It will always stay. It will always, as long as the sun provides some kind of energy source, it will always prevail. Vegetation will always eventually take over. Even though humans with their discipline and structure will kill all vegetation and life, fertility, eventually we will not bear children. They have to be made artificially. Maybe eventually there are no women left. Only boys are born. So we have a problem. It becomes an artificially created population. Nobody will have the feeling of a true womb or a mother. That's why I say the mother energy is leaving the planet. Because the patriarchal machine-like thinking is ruling everything. There's no more room for feminine energy. Vegetation is slowing down. Vegetation is limited. So we kill ourselves. The idea of keeping our ego alive, the ego life alive, it's just it's an imaginary realm. It won't work. I don't know how long this civilization is going to last, but eventually all civilizations before have been killed. This one will die as well at some point. And the only thing that will last, even if another ice age comes, or even if there will be so much pollution that we can't see the sun anymore, the only thing that will survive eventually is Earth itself. long hidden seeds that when the dust eventually evaporates and the sun shines through again, new life will come. The ice will melt and new life will come. This is the only thing that is for sure. And it seems like it's the only thing that we haven't grasped yet. Not really. Because we're not working together. Men and women are not working together. They don't seem to understand each other. Information is needed. Information that is not talking from a perspective of money. I am giving this information not to become rich. I give this information because it's necessary. If we want this species, our current species, to survive, this is necessary. We need more of this. And less rules and regulation. As I said, some of them are obsolete. Like they literally have to go. Because they don't foster current life. They actually prevent it. So, masculine energy is very informative. It talks, it speaks, it writes. It generates information that other people can look at. They can, like I do now, you can either like what I do, you can hate what I do, right? If you like what I do, you probably like the video. If you don't like it, you can just scroll off, find something else, right? Feminine energy doesn't talk, it feels. So the communication style of feminine energy is different. That's why you can get moved by an opera. It moves your energy, it moves the feelings inside your heart. You can get moved by a ballet performance. You can get moved, you can feel it in your body. It touches something in your body. It elevates your own libido. It shuts the mind down for a moment. That's why a song or a picture can literally speak more than 1,000 words. Because it's not words, it's something else that it does. It activates something else in us. The feminine realm doesn't talk with words. It's not verbal in that way. It's energetic. It is emotional. It's sensational, emotional. This is when your hair raises, that when you get the goosebumps. Goosebumps is an emotional experience. It is a sensational, emotional, feminine experience. It reacts on something. Sometimes it's something you can't literally, you can get goosebumps if you enter a freezing realm. You start freezing. It's not that, the freezing part is something in the air. The air is very dry and very cold. but you cannot see the dryness, you cannot see the coldness per se. You can see it if you see something else outside that is frozen, like water, or you can see frost on the trees, or ice or snow on the trees. That is the proof that you know that it's cold outside. But only because the frosty weather, the space of frostiness is interacting with something else. That's when you can see it. And when you get outside, you put your hand outside the window, you can feel it, right? This is the realm of the feminine. Every sensational realm, everything that is emotional or intuitive, this is very feminine. The trees are not yelling at you. When you sit under a tree, it's not yelling. It's not talking. It's not saying anything, actually. It vibrates a certain energy, if you can feel it. It vibrates a certain energy. It's not yelling at you. It's not pushing you to listen. It's actually inviting you into its realm. A quiet realm. A quiet realm of maybe sleeping under the tree. Just listening to the bird song under the tree. Looking at the clouds. Maybe it invites you to meditate. Maybe it invites you to be a bit of a philosopher, right? That's what it does. It has this special way of inviting us in and just allowing us to be there. If you allow yourself to. Like if you allow yourself to, it means that you stop your brain from talking, or you stop listening to the social media scrolls, or you shut down the news, or if you allow yourself to go into this realm, in other words, to say this is that if you want to experience this realm, you have to shut off the other one. You cannot be at work and holiday at the same time. Not really. You cannot have the full holiday or break experience if you are at work at the same time. Not really. You won't have the lift off. You won't have the break. You won't have the full flow experience. It may be a nice experience, but it's not a full flow experience. You can go to a healer and they can perform their healing or massage or whatever, but if you keep constantly thinking about everything, it's like your body can't actually relax and enjoy the massage. To have this experience, you cannot have the other. To get the high, to get the cocaine high, you cannot be clean at the same time. It's like when you fall in love with someone, that can be the feeling of this feeling as well, at very dopamine high. When you float on these rosy clouds, you cannot be in reality at the same time. You know, it's like if you want more of this, you have to really choose it. Find ways where you can find this. And if you find this is very difficult, because I did in the beginning, I found that if I laid myself down at a somewhat more, at a point during the day, if possible, where there's not much noise around, I put on headphones and I listen to a guided meditation. This helped me put me in this state. Not a short one. I needed one around 45 minutes. If I take a short one, I couldn't, like make my brain shut up. Like my brain was still active after 10-15 minutes. But then slowly after that, I drifted off. I actually had a bit of that experience, this bit of this moment. And so if you find this is very difficult, you could try to do this. Like you could try to make sure your kids don't disturb you. Make sure that you're not about to make dinner in 15 minutes. If you have a hard time, like closing your brain down, try to do this, but take the time necessary. Use a video, or maybe you buy a recorded session. Maybe you buy. Make sure if you use YouTube, make sure that you're sure that there are no commercials in there, right? You want the pure one. Yeah, you want a clean meditation with no commercials or breaks or something. You want a clean meditation, a space like that you are invited into. And if you let yourself be there, eventually your brain could drift off and actually enjoy the pause, the break. This is how you can heal. Maybe the way you think, maybe you will become a happier person. Like maybe you are more relaxed, you're more calm, you're not as anxious. Maybe your brain is more happy, maybe you don't have insomnia, you don't have overthinking, you don't have things like that. And of course, this is very Virgo-like as well. Like Virgo definitely wants to come in with a healing aspect. Like Virgo are natural healers. They are herbalists and healers, and they are into organic living and slow living perhaps, and things like that. They take health very seriously. You can have a happier brain, a happier life, or even a happier decision maker in your brain here. The brain is usually the control center, right? That delivers the decisions, what to do. So you could have a happier decision maker here in your brain. If you allow yourself to drift off more, to play more, that's what children do, right? They play. When they are in play mode, they forget about time. They forget about homework. They forget about chores. They forget about, coming back home for dinner and so on. Because they are absorbed in the interaction, the play they have. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's actually very healthy. It's a healthy state to be in, especially if you can find the balance for it, right? I think that it can actually be the cure for certain illnesses that people have that are stressed out, anxiety, post-traumatic stress. It can help. I'm not saying it will alleviate post-traumatic stress or childhood abuse or anything, but it could do something, right, to help the individual. It could do something for you. Maybe the personal healing and happiness here could be a feeling of a calmer brain. A brain that doesn't overthink, right? This is what I feel like. I'm sorry for the long introduction before I took the cards, but this is what I feel like this Virgo new moon is about. It's about allowing new blueprints. accepting new blueprints that are emerging from inside you, or new urges or new longings. Don't discard them. Don't tell them that it's wrong or it's bad or it's. Dare to go along with it. Dare to explore. Dare to figure out what it wants. What is it inviting you into? Right? Dare to find ways where you can flow. I don't know what that would be for you, but whatever it is, try to find ways where you can flow. That allows you to. Now I just have another thing. Let's say you live in a country where it's not you are maybe forced on an everyday basis to speak the native language of that country, but it's not your mother tongue. Then I would say maybe listen to something that is your mother tongue. Listen to meditations, read books, watch movies or something like that, so that it allows you to get into a zone that is more you, or it's closer to your heart, or it's do you get my point? There are many ways of finding some of this. Some find this through adrenaline. Some want peace, They want just peace and calm and solitude and no interruptions, time for themselves, perhaps. Some want the adrenaline. Some watches movies. Some are. I don't think it's bad. Of course, laying at the couch all day and watching movies is probably not. Again, then you are absorbed in this space. It won't sustain. You can't sustain your life in that way, right? It's the balance between it that is important. To find happiness and health and more healing and more happiness, and maybe also the feeling of more freedom, because you allow it in. You're choosing it. You're choosing freedom. You allow more of it into your life. And when you are allowing more of it into your life, you are allowing less of the other. As I said, you can't have this if you are also having your work phone with you, right, all the time. If you have your work phone with you all the time, you can never ever really have this. Not really this. If you sit in the opera and you want to really really blend with the opera, that you want to let yourself blend with it, feel it, let it consume you almost, and you can feel the opera, right? When you allow yourself to do that, you cannot have a work phone ringing every 5 minutes at the same time, right? You will never have the same experience. It will never be so full. That is what I feel like I wanted to say about this new moon. Maybe this reading is more for feminines, women or feminines out there. I don't know, but I'm just saying. And if you are a mother, you can think about this when you raise your little girl, if you have one. Or if you have a boy who seems to be more to the feminine side, that maybe it's all right for him to explore those sides in him, because he could end up becoming a beautiful actor or performer, right? But if you stop him from doing this, explore these things in him, if you stop him from doing this, he or her from doing this, they can never be this. Right? They can never be this singer. They can never be this performer. They can never be this dancer, right? if you don't allow them to taste it, to feel it, to smell it, to indulge in it. Sometimes we need to indulge in the things. So this could be baking, right? Maybe you loved baking as a child, right? When you were baking, you loved the smells and the seasonings and everything, vanilla, you loved it. You loved the eating of it after the cake was done. You loved this entire process. When you started baking, you were in the zone, right? Maybe you need to take up that hobby again. Maybe you need to bake the cakes. Like maybe, and you can serve it to the neighbors, and maybe you need to and give them a happy moment. Maybe you need to be that one. Get into the zone. It's healthy to be in the zone. Let yourself be totally absorbed in it with no distractions, right? So let someone take care of your kids. Let someone take care of the kids, and you go and indulge in whatever that is for you. I don't know what this is for you, but whatever it is, you go and do that. Make this a new imprint, that this is important in your life. It has a healing aspect to your life. It's healthy. It helps you become happier. Make it a priority. This should be law. This should be law. Everybody should have the ability of the break, of the pause, of the zone. There should be an ability to withdraw and go into your zone and sit there, whatever it is, to sit there and be happy there, to go back and then be able to be part of the productive team again. But this should be law. There should be a law passed on this, instead of many other laws that are upheld still, that are very obsolete. The life we live currently, the civilization we have currently, needs this. Not some old laws that are obsolete. Maybe they were good at that point in time. Maybe the civilization, it was necessary at that point. But the current civilization needs a balance of this. It needs to... A lot of this stuff happens on the dark web, right? A lot of this stuff is something that we hide. We can't even talk openly about it. A lot of sexuality is linked to pornography. It's something that we are not proud to say necessarily. We will not say it when we are at a job interview, right? A lot of the reason for pornography to exist is because it's made bad. It's made bad for people to listen to the libido. It's supposed to be in the private home, right? That the patriarchal home would say, or the patriarchal voice would say, that sexuality belongs in the private home. But it's emerging, right? It's emerging in music videos. We see it in films. We see it. It's emerging, right? It can't keep itself down. It's supposed to come. So if you have some kind of libido urge that you feel like, and libido is, it's not necessarily, well, it's usually linked to pleasure and therefore sex. But try to go with it. Try to listen to it. What is it telling you? What is it looking for? There are many ways to find pleasure. It may be not sex. It could be, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's just silence. Maybe it's freedom. Maybe it's flowing. The idea of flowing is what it wants. Look for the listen, sit and listen, feel and listen, right? Let it speak to you through the emotions, through the realm that it comes from. Let it tell you its story. Let it tell you what it's looking for, what it needs, what it's lacking. Okay? Without prejudice, just listen to it. When there are new blueprints that come from the root position, from the gut area, from the, like it rises up. When you sit with it, when you allow yourself to be in the zone with it, it will tell you what it is. And you will start living a life maybe a little more according to it. And that will give you release and healing and happiness. But it's almost like this is something, bad. It's something we shouldn't trust it. It's bad. It's something that it's the devil, It's not devilish. It just has to be understood correctly. It's not devilish. Because, as I just said, the libido part already knows that nothing dies. What you're telling your body with your brain is dissonance. Because the body already knows that energy will prevail. Physicists have proven this, that energy doesn't really die, it just changes into something else. It just needs acceptance. You just need to accept the fact that it changes into something else. Which, over here, there is no acceptance of that. It wants the current to prevail. It wants the current to prevail and innovate. It doesn't want, a human body that it deteriorates, gets absorbed by the fungus system into the roots of the trees. It's too far away, right? From being a tree to becoming again a mammal, to becoming again eventually a Homo sapiens, takes eons, right? It's too slow, actually. It's a way too slow. It's a way too slow process. Over here, it doesn't allow for that slowness. It wants pace. It wants fastness. So we have this ongoing dilemma with these two energies. So when you are a feminine and you tell your body with your brain that we will die eventually, the body gets very sad because this is not normal. The body doesn't believe in that. Like it's not the origin of the body. When the brain tells the body that it's going to die, that life only has a certain lifespan, it becomes sad because it's not the truth of Earth. The truth of Earth is that it persists. As long as the sun is there, it persists. It's just ongoing life. It's not the same life. It's a reoccurring, rebirthing life. It's fine. I sometimes wonder if I was never told by my parents, if none of us have ever been told that we would die, would we be happier? That if we had this other understanding as the main orientation in the world, would we be happier? Knowing that we never die. Nothing never dies. It just changes to something else. You see, if you believe in this orientation, it would be way easier to understand that we are all one. Because I exist because something else gave its life. And through evolution, I sit here. So everything around me is kin. Everything around me is family. Which would make it easier for me to want to preserve it, to take care of it, to honor it, But most of us, we have grown up with this other thinking, this other understanding. And many people over here are afraid of dying. They are afraid to die. Over here, you would not be afraid to die. It would be a natural process. So when someone dies and is buried, over time, they become part of everything. So this person that you are, if you have been grieving someone over here, I want you, from this perspective, I want you to know they are everywhere around you. They are in the trees, they are in the birds, they are in the food you eat. They are everywhere. They are in the ocean. They are everywhere. There is no death. Just change. So when someone is visiting someone's grave and they sit there and talk to them, it's not an act of craziness. They are around, they are in the trees, they are in the ground. They are there. All of our ancestors are there, providing for us every single day. And I will eventually, when I die, become part of that system. Isn't that a little more comforting? Isn't it a bit more kind somehow? To know that it's not gone. That when people die over here, they're gone. That's the understanding. They're gone. You have to live without them now. They're gone. Over here, no, it's not like that. Yeah, they are maybe gone in the physical appearance, you knew them, but they prevail in everything around us. I don't know, but I'm just offering this side note, or this, let's say, other religion, or whatever you want to call it. It's a different dogma, or it's a different book, you could say, right? It's a different book to explore. That could be also what this blueprint in. It's like there is a new book coming, or there is a new door opening that has been shut, right? That nobody has ever wanted to open. And I think it's coming. It's already here. Like I said, there are still communities and emerging communities that show some of this, right? The interesting part of the, what is it called, LGBTQ community, I'm not good at that, this community, the interesting part of this is that they don't judge each other. They have actually a very big understanding about each other. There is an acceptance. So gays are not necessarily judging queers, and transes are not necessarily judging gays or lesbians. Actually, there's a very, very interesting acceptance going on that I think this other part of society could learn from, right? They could learn from this emerging acceptance within a community where they all have different orientation. And the thing about pronouns, are you an I, or are you a we, or an us, or in this society, there is a big acceptance of the the varieties. Varieties are actually quite fine, which is also feminine, of course, that it shifts back and forth. That there is no, it doesn't matter whether you are one or the other, right? It's fine. Like emerging new vegetation, it's fine. It's fine as it is. It's just creation. It's creation. So this is just my take on this, right? I've tried to get the grip of what I felt was kind of coming in for me to, but it was so big. I feel like it was so big, and there was so much new I had to understand about, especially the feminine energy, which I don't think that we are raised in. We're not raised in feminine energy. So if you are more feminine than masculine, you are struggling in the masculine realm, probably feeling exhausted, tired. Maybe you feel like it's hard to find a goal in here. It's difficult to find your compass. Like your compass doesn't show you where to go, right? And I think it's because you're in the wrong environment. You need an environment that gets you, that understands you. This is what I have. So this became rather a long reading or a long talk. I'm sorry, I'm like that. When I start, I can almost finish. It's almost like this is kind of my zone, right? Then when I start, it's just like blah, 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 blah. I just kind of do this. I channel this stuff. I have gathered information. I really wanted to explain this to you. And it goes hand in hand with a reading I did some while back that talks about that it's like we were never given another choice. Like we were never given another choice of upbringing, for instance. We only get one kind. right? We only get one kind with one message. But what if there were more? What if there were multiple? And they were all good, that they were all accepted, right? What if I had been brought up not in a patriarchal society with the Christianity orientation? What if I had been brought up I was born in Thailand, and I was raised with a different kind of upbringing, a different kind of orientation, and a Buddhist or Taoist kind of Bible, you could say. How would my life have been if I had been taught these things? How would I have evolved? How would I have, what kind of person would I have become? What kind of choices would I have made? You know? So the environment is extremely important to what you become, or what you could say what you are and what you are allowed to become. Can what you are be what you become? Or can what you are never be what you become? You have to become something else. Do you get my point? There's a need of new blueprints, perhaps. New drawings, new lines in the sand, new decisions, or new... Like there's an urge to lift or shift something. To have more of this, perhaps. And a more happier life. Maybe it means that all your money, if you're a very successful person, that you have to make a different choice. What is most important for you? And can other people judge that? As I said, I followed the recipe, right? I followed the line. I believed in it. I followed it, but I was very miserable here. Would I die tomorrow? Would I feel okay dying tomorrow, having that kind of life? Or would I rather have 2 years with like the utmost joy and freedom and then leave life? Do you understand? I think this is why cancer patients, when they are told that they have terminal illness, they have 1 year left to live, this is where they don't give a shit then. This is where the longevity, it doesn't matter about longevity. I have to get the most out of this year. So I may stop treatment. I use my money on vacation. I want, the best food that I love. It's no longer about the right diet and medication and treatment plan. I don't give a fuck. I'm not interested in that anymore. Now I want quality, right? Now I want this. And maybe the lack of this is the reason why they got cancer in the first place. I don't know. Probably no scientific evidence on this, but it has come through so strongly for me. So I hope this helps someone, right? Again, I'm not doing this for money. It's not about the money. It's about the message, right? But I think I'm too soon. Like I'm not. I should actually come in with this message later, I think, where we are at a bigger problem, where the patriarchal system has grown bigger and AI has taken over. This is where the message should come in, right? So I somehow I feel I'm a bit off track in the time perspective here. That I come in with a message that we will, the mass of humanity will not get it unless they are more threatened. They will not take it seriously unless they are more threatened. Then they may take it seriously. So I feel like I'm coming in with this too soon. Like we are not in we need to be in a better state, actually. We need to be in a more terrible state. Our species needs to be in a more terrible state. Then this message makes sense. Okay. Anyway, I hope it helps someone out there. At least if you have felt also other inklings and you have felt more exhausted or more, or that you have found yourself losing track of time, and you normally don't do that. That you have found yourself daydream more, and you normally don't do that. That's it. This is it. And it's not a bad thing. Okay? I hope this helps somehow. And please, if you are a masculine out there, I would love to hear your take on this. I would love to hear, because I feel like I'm talking for the feminine part. I feel like I've incarnated here to talk for the feminine part. Not as a feminist. It's not like that. Feminist is obsolete, right? It's not like that. I would like and love to hear the real masculine take on this other part. What is it you're trying to build? What is it? What kind of intelligence is it that is supposed to prolong from generation to generation? What is it? What is the end goal? I would love to hear from someone who knows this, who understands the reason why longevity and the feeling of being here for a long time is important. Why are we supposed to be here for a long time? Why is all this information that needs to be given to the next generation so important? Why? Where is it moving? What is it you're trying to build? What is it you want to create? I would love to hear that if you have a take on this, right? Okay, but I hope I have tried to give you a take on the feminine part, and then it's just different. The values, priorities are very different here than they are over here. So I hope and I'm still learning here, because again, remember, I was masculine trained. So I feel like I'm a feminine who was trained masculine to now become feminine again, right? Does that make sense? To think feminine, to act feminine, to become more feminine, to show what it is, to explain it, right? To explain it, and that it is not bad. It is the reason that there is actually life here at all. So all the people that build big successful businesses, they would not have been here unless this other part of us exists. I feel that there's so much honor to the earth, to feminine energy, to vegetation, to life itself, that is not given. It's not given. There is no honor on earth. There's very little honor on being a mother. There's very little success criteria or money provided to the life aspect. Single mothers, why are they not supported? This should be normal. All those rich men out there who have millions, billions of dollars, why are they not supporting the single mothers? This should be normal. This should be, because we cannot prevail unless we keep the mother energy alive, unless we keep life alive, unless we keep vegetation alive, unless we stop the cutting of the jungles, unless we treat earth right, unless we take all the toxins away. You know, we're killing ourselves. For what exactly? Money? I don't know. Status, something? For what? Find a way to find more of this in your life. Maybe just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. Just allow some of this into your life. I feel this is very important. This new moon wants to do that. It wants a fresh, cleansed new start. Remember the maiden. Remember the infant state. Right? The Virgo is about the original. The original voice. Jesus was the original voice. He kept it. He became a force where you could not breach, right? You could not breach it. He was a force that was very, very original, right? I've talked about Jesus with Virgo readings also, that there's something about this very, very pure, clean voice of who you are, and therefore also what you need to thrive and be you. And dare to choose the right environment, right? Free thinkers, naturalists, you know, breaking the rules, going to this other side. Again, you could have been, let's say you have been very feminine raised. You have been raised in a very feminine place around actors, and it was very inconsistent, and you know, you never quite knew if there was dinner on the table. And you have longed for that. Maybe that is your longing. Then you need to be in an environment that gets you, right? You need to make sure to not look for a partner who is familiar, because familiar is not good for you. You have to look for unfamiliar. You have to look for someone, another kind, right? You have to look for someone who is more consistent and reliable. This is what I feel like we also do wrong with relationships. We choose familiar over what's right for us, or what we actually truly need to feel and thrive as the people we are. I hope this helped someone out there. Take care of yourself, everybody. I wish you the very best during this new moon. It's a great way for manifesting make new manifestation rituals, maybe light a candle, and speak them out loud. Burn the paper and send it, let it go to the universe. and start, like implementing, or let those urges, let those new imprints come to the surface and take new action. Take new action, move to this other place, move from one to the other. Dare to be that different, dare to go against the stream, dare to. The perfection that Virgo may look for is maybe not found in the environment they are in. They may need to look for it somewhere else, or for you to be perfect, to be the perfect flower you are, or to be the perfect bee you are. You need the right environment, the right people that get you and understand you, who don't judge you. They will actually help you, right? They will help you learn to sing in a certain way, help you elevate your talent. They understand you, they get you. Yeah, this is what I have. I hope this helped someone. Take care of yourself, everybody. Love and light to you. Bye-bye.